Hi everyone, welcome back to Book Talk Tuesdays. I'm Miss Jessica and I'm a youth and teen librarian at the Chelsea District Library. And this is our video show for brand new books for kids ages 8 to 12. And I have a special guest here with me today.
Hi, I'm Lissa Kruger and I'm a student at Beach Middle School.
So I asked Lissa to be my guest today because she has read, I think, just about every book at the library. She reads a ton of books. And so she is the perfect guest today because our theme is read-alikes, a popular series. So we have read-alikes for things like Magic Tree House, the Harry Potter books, even read-alikes for beginner chapter books like the Mercy Watson series. So this is actually a special two-part episode, and we're going to cover 6 books today, and we're going to cover 6 more books in a couple weeks when our next episode airs. So my first book is a read-alike from one of my very favorite series. I love the Penderwicks books. And I think I've gotten many of you hooked on them too. So the read-alike series I have for the Penderwicks, because Jean Birdsall is pretty clear that there won't be any more Penderwicks books. So the read-alike series I have for the Penderwicks is The Vanderbeekers by Karina Yan Glaser. And these books are very similar to the Penderwicks from the first appearance. It's about a large family. There's 5 siblings, twin girls, a boy in the middle, and then 2 younger sisters. And they live all together with their mom and dad in a brownstone in Harlem in New York City. So the setting's a little bit different than the Penderwicks, right? In the first book, The Vanderbeekers on 141st Street, the Vanderbeekers have just learned that their landlord is going to kick them out of their apartment and they're not going to be able to live there anymore. And they have like 2 weeks to figure out a new place to live. And they are just devastated. They love their neighbors in the brownstone. They love the couple that lives on the floor above them. And they love everybody in their neighborhood and all their friends, everything. Their landlord has not given them a reason for this. And in fact, he hardly interacts with them at all. He lives at the top of the brownstone, so 2 floors above the Vanderbeekers' apartment. And of course, the kids decide they are going to come up with some plans to convince their landlord that they need to be able to stay in their apartment and that they're a wonderful family and they don't cause any trouble. So they get into some hijinks. Things don't always go as planned, but it's a wonderful story. And in fact, the author has planned out 7 books for this series. There are 5 out now, and there's 2 more coming. So I think everyone who loved the Penderwicks would love the Vanderbeekers just as much.
All right, my book is Diary of an Ice Princess. It's like Rainbow Magic. It's about Lena, and she is an ice princess. She lives in the clouds, and she has a best friend named Claudia. In this book, she is trying to figure out what she should get Claudia for her birthday, and she makes a disaster, and they have to fix it.
Oh no. What kind of magic happens in this book? Because in the Rainbow Fairy, or in the Rainbow Magic books, there's, all the different fairies have different kind of abilities.
Yeah, she can make ice and snow and things, and her family can do other things like make like wind, and she has family that are the north winds is her grandpa, the east, the south, and the west too.
Yeah. So it sounds a little bit like Rainbow Magic, but even like a read-alike if you love Frozen too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. It looks like it'd be a good one for maybe like 2nd graders who are starting chapter books.
Yeah. It's by Christina Soontornvat.
Awesome. That sounds like a good one. I'm going to keep that in mind for kids who maybe need to take a break from the Rainbow Magic books for a little bit. So my second book is a read-alike series for I Survived, which I know is so popular and so many Chelsea students love the I Survived books. And History Smashers is a series, and It's actually a nonfiction series. It's by Kate Messner, and I got to read an advanced copy of the Pearl Harbor book, and that means that sometimes publishers release copies to librarians and booksellers so that they can read a book in advance and tell all their readers about it, which is what I'm doing now. So I just loved this series. I thought it was really, really well done. You know how at the end of the I Survived books, there's a section in the back that talks about all the true facts and has a timeline? This book is like that, just expanded. So it's the entire book is nonfiction. There's pictures, there's cool stories. And then what the author tried to do with this series, History Smashers, is take parts of history that we kind of take for granted. Oh, I know that story. I've learned about it in school. I know what happens. And she breaks it down a little bit and gives you some new perspectives on it. So it's not going to be exactly what you might have learned at school or read in other books. It takes some new twists on it and reveals information you just might not have seen before. So there's also maps. I would say the reading level is a little bit higher than the I Survived books. So if you've read and loved those but feel like you're ready to move on, History Smashers is a good series to know about.
That sounds like a good book. My next book is The Iron Trial. It's part of the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. Mm-hmm. It's about Callum Hunt, who has a leg injury, and he goes to the Iron Trial. His dad went to the Magisterium, and he didn't. He tells Cal all these bad things about it, and Cal tries his hardest at the Iron Trial, which is a trial to get into the Magisterium, to not get in, but he ends up getting in, and he has to learn how to do all the magic and live through the year.
That sounds really good. I haven't read this series, but I know that they're popular because I can hardly keep them on the shelf at the library. What book did this series remind you of?
It felt like Harry Potter because it was like it had the same sort of main characters, like a girl who's good at the magic, and then it was about a magic school. It reminded me of Harry Potter.
Cool. So I think there's 4 or 5 books in this series, and we have them all. So if that sounds good to you, you can read more. So my next book it's actually a read-alike for Raina Telgemeier. So I know everybody loves Raina. We love Smile and Sisters and drama in all of her books, right? So, but she can only publish so many books by herself. So I have a new author for you. Faith Erin Hicks is the author. And then the book I read by her is 1 Year at Ellesmere. So Faith Erin Hicks normally writes teen graphic novels and comics. But this is very much for kids who have enjoyed Raina's books. It's a very good story for middle schoolers, I would say. And 1 Year at Ellesmere is about a girl named Juniper. She goes by June, and she is a very, very smart girl. Her family doesn't have a lot of money. And she is actually offered a scholarship to attend a very prestigious boarding school. So she gets to go to a school that can really challenge her and make the most of her abilities. And she's the first student to be there on scholarship, actually, and the whole school knows it. So she has to put up with some mean girl bullying. And luckily, though, she makes friends with her roommate right away, and they get along really, really well. So her drawing style is a little bit different from Raina's. It's a little bit darker. It's not as kind of bubbly and cute, which I think is a great grow up. So if you're ready for something a little bit more than Raina's books, then I think that this would be a good one to try. It was published over 10 years ago, actually, for the first time under a little bit different name, but now it's been redone with new artwork and the storyline's been updated a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be part of a series, but I have my fingers crossed that it will be. So hopefully there's more.
That sounds good. Next book I brought is Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. It's a read-alike for Percy Jackson, and it's about a girl named Joni who has the ability to see monsters.
Just like Percy
she was at
Jackson,
her,
right?
yeah, she was at one of her basketball games and she saw a man in the stands and he looked like a monster, and she ends up going on this whole quest to defeat all the monsters. She goes to the sun even to get weapons for it.
That's pretty cool. So I think that book, what kind of fantasy or mythology world is it built on?
It's a Native American Navajo.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that one came from a small publishing imprint that Rick Riordan actually started. And he did it. Does it have a seal on the front?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So he started that to make sure that authors from other cultures get their stories published, which I think is so cool. All right. Well, thanks, Lissa, for sharing these books with us today. And in 2 weeks, we'll have more books. We're going to have some books about as read-alikes for Mercy Watson, a read-alike for Magic Tree House, and a few others that I think you're going to love. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for more books.